Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show, and welcome back, Jane. When we hear Adam and Eve, what usually comes to mind? Maybe Sunday school, an apple, a snake, a really old story, right?
Absolutely, Nash. And often, people get hung up on the literal interpretations, asking, did it really happen that way, or was it a scientific report? Which honestly, I think misses the entire point.
Exactly. Because what if we told you this story isn't meant to be a science report at all? What if it's actually a mirror? A profound ancient mirror reflecting something fundamentally human about all of us, even today.
A mirror, I love that. Because when you look into a mirror, you don't question if the image is real in a historical sense. You see yourself, your choices, your impulses reflected back. And that's what this narrative does for humanity.
It's about the core human condition we can choose. We have this incredible, sometimes terrifying gift of free will. But, as the story starkly illustrates, choice carries weight. It's not just a casual click of a button, it reverberates.
That's the crucial part, isn't it? We often talk about freedom to choose, but less about the weight of choice. Every decision, big or small, has implications for ourselves and for those around us.
And then there's the serpent. Oh, the infamous serpent. Most people see it as this external evil, right? But what if the serpent isn't some literal reptile slithering around a tree?
Ah, you're going there, Nash. The serpent as the voice of ego. That internal whisper that's so seductive, so persuasive, telling us exactly what we want to hear.
Precisely. The serpent's line, "You can be like God, knowing good and evil." Or, as I like to reframe it for today, you can be the god of your own garden. That feeling of absolute self-sufficiency, that you don't need anyone, you don't need guidance, you just know.
Ah, that resonates so deeply. How many times have we all heard that whisper? You don't need help, you've got this. No one understands your situation better than you do. You're above needing advice. It's the same voice, just a new garden, as you said.
It's that sense of hyper-independence, almost a kind of spiritual arrogance. We're fed this narrative in so much of modern culture. Be your own guru, trust your gut above all else, you are enough. And while self-reliance has its place, taken to an extreme, it blinds us.
It does, because the minute you decide you're the god of your own garden, you start closing yourself off. You stop listening, you stop seeking counsel, you stop seeing other perspectives, and what happens when you do that? You break connection.
And that's the ultimate moral takeaway from this ancient mirror, isn't it? Freedom without humility breaks connection. Think about it. Adam and Eve, in that garden, had perfect connection with each other, with their environment, with the divine.
But once they listened to that ego-driven voice, that idea that they could elevate themselves, be more, know more, without acknowledging their place in the grand scheme, the connection shattered. They hid from each other, they hid from God. Shame entered the picture.
And isn't that what happens to us? When we operate purely from ego, from that I know best mindset, we create distance, we become isolated. We can't truly connect with others if we're constantly trying to assert our own godlike authority over our own little world.
It's so true. I see it in relationships all the time. One partner decides they're always right. They don't need to apologize. They don't need to compromise. They're trying to be the god of their own emotional garden, and what happens? Resentment builds and the connection erodes.
Or professionally too, an entrepreneur who believes they have all the answers, dismisses advice from mentors or even their own team, thinking their vision is infallible. They might achieve some short-term gains, but long-term, they're building a house of cards, because they've isolated themselves from valuable input.
And that isolation, that lack of connection, it's not just about other people. It's about disconnecting from reality itself. When you're convinced you're the sole arbiter of truth in your life, you stop being open to learning, to growth, to even acknowledging your own blind spots.
That's such a keen observation, Jane. Humility isn't about self-abasement or thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less, in relation to the whole. It's recognizing you're part of something larger, and that you have limits, and that those limits aren't weaknesses, but opportunities for connection.
It's about knowing when to ask for help, when to say I don't know, when to admit you made a mistake. Those are the moments where true deep connection is forged, both with others and with a more profound understanding of life.
So when we look at the Adam and Eve story through this mirror, It's not about blaming two ancient figures for all our woes. It's about seeing the universal human tendency to grasp for more, to believe our own hype, and the subsequent breaking of connections that inevitably follows.
It's a cautionary tale, but also an empowering one because it highlights our freedom. We can choose. We can choose to listen to that egoic serpent, or we can choose humility, understanding that our freedom is best exercised when it's rooted in connection, not isolation.
I mean, how often do we see someone so determined to be right, so convinced of their own infallible judgment, that they burn bridges, alienate friends, or even sabotage their own happiness because they can't concede an inch? That's the God of your own garden syndrome in full effect.
And the irony is, they often end up feeling more alone, more disconnected, even if they won the argument or proved their point. That hollow victory is a direct consequence of valuing ego over genuine human relationship.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If Adam and Eve had just taken a moment, reflected, asked for clarification, or maybe even said, "Hey, this voice sounds appealing, but something feels off," what would have happened then?
Exactly. That pause, that moment of self-awareness, that little flicker of humility that says, maybe I don't know everything, or maybe I should consult something beyond my own desires. That's the fulcrum point for so many of our modern dilemmas.
So next time you hear that whisper, "You don't need help, you've got this, you're better, you know more," maybe pause. Consider the source. Is it truly wisdom, or is it just the serpent, offering you the illusion of being the god of your own garden, at the cost of genuine connection?
Because real freedom, I think, isn't about having no limits. It's about understanding them and choosing to thrive within them, in community. It's choosing connection over isolation, humility over hubris. That's where the garden truly flourishes.
Absolutely, Jane. It's a powerful mirror indeed, and one we should all hold up to ourselves a little more often. Thanks for joining us today, everyone, and remember to reflect on those choices.
Thanks, Nash, and we'll catch you next time with another deep dive into the human experience. Keep those connections strong.